Kathy Weimer, a member of the Community Engagement Leadership Team, and I'm here today with Rick Schaffer and Joel Nordin, who are going to be talking with us a bit about Boy Scouts. So with that, I will kick off with a little background information. How long have you each been members of Shepherd of the Hills?
Well, I'll start, Kathy. Nancy and I actually have been members since we got back from an overseas assignment with General Mills. That was 22 years ago. So we joined Shepherd right after we got back and been members ever since.
Great.
All right. Yeah, Stephanie and I have been members since we got married about 17 years ago. So I think in 2003.
That's great. So how did you guys become involved with the Boy Scouts?
Well, I'll start. I was recruited actually by our volunteer coordinator at General Mills to be on the board of the Boy Scouts among other volunteer opportunities. And I kind of picked this one because I really wanted to be involved in youth development. I thought that was a very good cause that I related to. And so I joined up and I've been on the marketing committee as well as the board for all this 22-year period of time. Wow. And other committees along the way as well.
That's great. And Joel?
I got involved with the Boy Scouts of America when Rowan was a kindergartner. He joined Cub Scouts, and that's where it all begins. They get your hook in you at that point.
That's great. So can you give us a little more background, Joel, with the way maybe the Scouts are set up? Yeah,
certainly. So the Scouts starts, you can join Cub Scouts when you're in kindergarten, and Cub Scouts runs through 5th grade. And as 5th graders, the Scouts will then choose a troop to join. And then they join Scouts BSA, as they're known now. And that's when the fun really begins. And then they can be in Scouts BSA through age 18.
Okay, that's great. And so how do you see the things that Scouting is doing? How does it change kids' lives?
Well, I'll start with that, Joel, and then you can chime in as well. Scouting, it really is intended to help youth develop skills, and not only skills like tying knots and building campfires and stuff like that, but really more importantly, leadership skills, self-confidence, and skills to be a good, effective adult down the road. It also helps create a lot of bonding opportunities, I think, for parents and children. Joel is a volunteer, and the whole program is really led by volunteers, and a lot of them are parent volunteers. Creates great opportunities for bonding for parents and kids, but also it helps the community because the kids do a lot of community service. I think last year, Scouts in our council actually did over 140,000 hours of community service work in the community. And also, you know, our council as a whole has been trying to make sure that the benefits of Scouting get sent down to not only the white suburban kids out where kind of we live, but to everybody in the community. And so we actually track how many kids are participating in Scouting as a percentage of the population. And across the 4 major ethnic groups, we actually are within 2% across the different groups in terms of participation. So we're happy we've been able to get to that point. Part of the way we did that was through the construction of what we call the base camp in the right down by Fort Snelling. If you ever drive to the airport going down 62, you will pass by it. It's the old the old equestrian center from the Fort Snelling, and then we built a leadership center there as well. And those facilities are intended to bring the Scouting experience into urban youth, and not just the suburban youth that also use those facilities. So it's been a tremendous resource. We had over 40,000 kids that go to that, and they are from school districts, community organizations and the like. And so we believe that these skills are being extended to the community as a whole and not just a select group of youth.
Mm-hmm. Great. And Joel, from your perspective, how do you see it changing people's lives?
Well, I was drawn to scouts. I was never a scout growing up. And when Ron entered school, and I just, saw signs for joining scouting, so I went and signed him up. And it takes a year or two before you really kind of figure out what scouting is all about. And what I've seen firsthand with Rowan now, he's going to be entering 10th grade, and Iris is going to be entering 7th grade, and she's in the troop as well. And then Dylan is going to be entering 5th grade. Kind of seeing how all the skills that they learn, because scouting really enhances a number of things. First of all, they're already doing in school, but it really enhances certain things, like you think of academic skills, self-confidence, ethics, leadership skills, citizenship skills. All of these things are built into the program, and provides a really cool framework around those certain aspects. And on top of that, you get to do certain things hands-on with the scouts themselves, but also parents with their scouts that you don't get to do any other place. And so these scouts and the parents get to try new things that they will probably never get to do almost anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just been an awesome thing to see my kids get exposed to, and all of their friends. They've made great friends as part of scouting as well. And so I've seen it firsthand, what a great impact it can have on our kids.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little more about the troops that you're involved with? Because I believe you're involved with the one at Schaffer, right?
Yes. So I'm involved with, with Cub Scouts going through 5th grade, I've been involved with PAC 168, which is chartered and sponsored by the Good Samaritan United Methodist Church here in Edina. And they've been an awesome partner with PAC 168. And then Dylan's a part of PAC 168. Iris and Rowan are alums of the PAC. And then the troop is where Troop 123, which is sponsored by Shepherd of the Hills, is where Iris and Rowan are both members of. And Rowan is currently a Life Scout, which is the rank right before he'll be working on Eagle very soon. And then Iris actually is just achieving her Star Scout, so she'll be working on Life Scout here very shortly. And with the PAC, I've had a number of volunteer opportunities. I'm sorry, do you want me to talk about kind of my experience, my experience, or my leadership with the PAC?
Sure.
So with the PAC, I've had, it started with just a simple ask. They need somebody to help out with just coordinating a camp out. And so I started with coordinating campouts and coordinating some of the service opportunities that they were going through, or they had available. Then I took over as the PAC's treasurer, and then took over as the PAC's committee chair, and effectively assistant Cub master as well. So over the past 6 years, had worn many hats, and worn those hats all at the same time. But to be honest, and on top of that, I even forgot to say, is that also been the den leader for Dylan's den, and also with Iris's den. When girls were welcomed into scouting, Cub Scouts was first to allow girls to join. So Iris and 9 of her friends joined Cub Scouts and earned their Arrow of Light before they moved on to Troop 123.
That's so great. That's wonderful. So how do you two see this as an expression of your faith?
Well, for me, my faith tells me to help other people. And I think the best way to help somebody is not just to give them a fish, but to teach them to fish. And so I think if we can teach skills to our youth when they're very impressionable and learning how to be leaders in society, I think it makes a huge difference for how they turn out as people and what kind of rewarding lives they have. So to me, that's what's very attractive about being able to participate in an organization like this.
That's great. And Joel?
Yeah, and Rick, I don't think I could say it any better. We have such a great opportunity to have a big impact on kids' lives early on, to help them teach skills, but also be role models. And that's what's been so wonderful for me, to have these opportunities to work directly with my own kids and put so much time and energy into an organization that's benefiting my own kids, first of all. And admittedly, that's how I started thinking of how I can help out with my own kids, but also building these relationships with these other kids as well, and teaching them the skills and seeing them grow. It's been really rewarding. And I mean, I kind of look at like the Scout oath and the Scout law is really kind of hits to the heart of, kind of, I think of an expression of my faith. Say it starts with, on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and obey the Scout law, and to help other people at all times. And, like Rick was saying, it's, helping people is at the core of what I think is one of the most important things we can do. And that's the way Scouts really helps me fulfill that.
That's great. So last but not least, what are some ways that members of Shepherd could help? Is it time, money, prayers? What kinds of things?
All of the above would be good. One thing I will tell you is that we usually do a fall recruiting drive in September, kind of back to school time is when a lot of new Scouts are registered. And so if you know of a child, could be anywhere from 5 up to high school, that might be interested in joining, make sure they reach out, talk to somebody that is a Scout, talk to a neighbor that's doing it, or just go online to northernstar.org and they can actually look for where the closest troop or pack is to them, where they could participate. That's probably the number one way. If you want to donate to the organization, again, northernstar.org, you can donate right there. And if you want to volunteer, I'm sure Joel would appreciate any help in the pack that he could get. So
yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, the church has been so supportive already. It's been awesome, because seeing firsthand, first of all, with Voyager Bay, I think we have to start with that. The church owns this amazing property in Voyager Bay, which Troop 123 and some other troops take advantage of. And it's just been a fantastic place to go and spend time. And so I know personally, I can speak for the troop that how appreciative we are with this amazing resource that's available. And then second of all, when the troop has sold wreaths and done other things within the church, I see firsthand how willing our members are to purchase wreaths and do whatever they can to support the troop as well. And prayers never hurt as well.
Of course. Well, any other last words that you'd like to share about Scouts before we end?
I just think, again, we owe a great debt of gratitude to all the volunteers in the organization, but the ones that do the heavy lifting are people like Joel. So again, I just want to thank you, Joel, for what you do.
Oh, thank you. It's one of the most surprisingly wonderful things I've done in my life, I think, is get involved with Scouts. And so I think one of the things that I want to echo, Rick, what you're saying is that, as people have kids coming into school age, it is a great organization to get your kids involved with. And more than anything, you will get out of it what you put into it. And it has been wonderful personally for me and for my family. And I know that if people enrolled their kids in the scouting and then took an active leadership role, they would personally see exactly what I'm describing here.
And you no longer have to be a boy.
Absolutely. So yes, and that's a great point. 2 years ago, girls were welcomed into Cub Scouting, and now into Scouts BSA, and starting in 5th grade. And gosh, I would say some of the most gung-ho Scouts out there are girls. And I think that it's been amazing to see them go almost into scouting with a chip on their shoulder to show the boys that they can do it and they can do it better. And I think Iris would tell her that she jokes that she's catching up to her brother right now.
That's great. That's great. And I have a cat who wants to be in scouting, I think. So
Welcome.
Anyway, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
With that, we will close.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.